Only because I guess, alhamdulillah, the event is great and all, and there's a lot of information sort of that we learned. So, mashallah, that's very good. But walking out of here, what is my practical, as a practical Canadian Muslim living in this society, working your 9-to-5 job? What is my practical? Give me a practical solution. We spoke. Sheikh Osta spoke about, mashallah, from a very high level, right? But as a layman, what can I do? That's like, because to be honest, the 7 myths that you sort of put forward, Sheikh Rasoul, honestly, people go to sleep, they rest their nafs on those myths. Okay, I can sleep fine today because we'll just make dua. Or I can sleep fine today because today I can rely on this myth, right? But now that all that's in the sort of junk, so what can I sleep well on tonight?
Can I take that one, inshallah? Sure. All right. So we're on the same page. It's just Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Number 1 is you need to spread awareness about the proper solution. The proper solution is to basically call the armies of the Muslim world to move to support our brothers and sisters. Nobody makes that call. When you speak to people about this issue, they tell you, Akhi, you don't understand. Politics is complicated. This country is weak. If this country actually moves in, it'll have to face Russia, Masha, all the Ashas of the world, the US and the blah blah s. So what your job is, number 1, is to interact with your own circle in Canada, in Toronto, and explain to them the story of Talut, the ayat about the victories from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Correct these aqidah related issues in people's hearts. So they can understand that if they actually do move, it will work. Because there's doubt, there's shak. As-shubuhat is number 1 basically issue in people's hearts. So our goal is to basically cleanse. This is the process of tazkiyah, the real process of tazkiyah. So we have to interact with our social circles, online and on earth. I love to do the on earth part, as you can see always. I don't like the online part. And clear that misconception. Number 2, we need to start calling the Muslim armies to do this. We need to basically, instead of writing for your Canadian MP who's not going to do anything, write to your Muslim MPs in the Muslim land. Go visit the consulates, go visit the embassies, tell them, what are you doing with our resources? The men of the Muslim armies, what are they doing? Did they turn into something else? I know basically the gender change laws basically became legal here. Were they also enacted in our countries? Did they change? That's number 2. Number 3 is you need to understand that the main root cause reason of why the Muslimin are actually right now vulnerable is because the shield that we had was broken. The Rasul have said in a hadith that narrated by Imam Muslim, Sahih, says, Al-Imamu Junnah yuqatalu min wara'ihi wa yuttaqa bih. That the leader, the Muslim leader, that unites the ummah, unifies the ummah, is a shield. He's a protection and a shield. So he said that the Muslimin, they fight from behind him and they defend themselves by him. So this defense mechanism was lost in 1924 when the Uthmani Khilafah was destroyed by the British and the French and the Europeans, and we became shieldless and childless. So we're children that don't have no parents, and therefore basically we're orphans. We don't have any defense mechanism, and therefore the calamities has been spread from Indonesia to Morocco, from Bosnia to South Africa. So these are the 3 things. We need to spread awareness to correct the aqidah issues within the Muslim hearts around us, call for the real solution of the real, what we call the real short-term solution. These armies needs to move. So we need to call them to move. And number 3, we need to work to regain our shield back. So inshallah the shield takes care of moving these resources that the ummah has to protect our dignity and honor and to spread Islam to the world. Barakallahu feekum.
I would say one thing quickly as well. You see, again, this is one of many of the issues, and that there's always another Aleppo, there's another Gaza, there's another, Chechnya, there's another Grozny, there's another issue out there. And until these things happen in such a massive way that's in our face, we're kind of sit back, and then we're like, oh man, well, what do I do? In the last time when Gaza was being attacked and besieged, I had a brother who was literally panicking after Jum'ah, and he said, please, I need to sit down with you. And I sat with him at Tim Hortons. He's like, what can we do? What is it that I can do? And give similar answer. He's like, but this is a long-term solution. Like, this is not. I'm like, yes, it's a long-term solution because it's been a long-term problem. And the Prophet ﷺ in Mecca, when the Muslims were being beaten and when they were being tortured and persecuted and kicked out and everything else, there was no overnight solution. The problem, for us, most of the time we're looking for an overnight solution. We want to do something quick and clean our hands off. We want to do something, as I said, sleep tonight nice. We want to do something quick, 2-3 days, 1 week max, and leave it. Prophet ﷺ took him, he being the Prophet of Allah, with the wahi coming in, Jibreel, everything else with him, the Quran coming with him. It took him 13 years to come to the solution where he can protect those Muslims who were persecuted in Mecca and come back and defend them and take over Mecca. So the solution will be long term. It's not an overnight solution.
Yes, sister, you have a question?
The question is that people who are living in Canada, how can they get in touch with the Muslim armies to tell them as such? And for sure, did you guys hear the question? The question was how do people basically from Canada get in touch with the Muslim armies back home to request them and pressure them to move? And the answer is simple. No, at the end of the day, there's two aspects. Number one is that we are, as they say, we're a small village, so the whole world is connected. That's number one. Number two is every country has embassies and consulates all over the place. So you can go to that consulate and tell them, listen, this is you can basically maybe even make a petition and even have a delegation and get an appointment and tell them this is our demands. Go to visit any Muslim embassy or consulate that you can reach and make those demands. Those demands will get to them and they'll hear it. Number two is that at the end of the day, the Muslimin have to interact directly with these Muslim armies. And alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, there is efforts in the Muslim world to get in touch with these armies to get them to move. So your role might be supportive here, might not be as direct, but could be direct. If you know anybody, if you are from a military family or whatever, speak to your uncles, speak to your nephews, speak to your cousins, and tell them, shame on you. Our Muslimin are being devastated, and you're doing nothing. Let that, listen. Change in behavior must be preceded with a change at heart and mind. So we have to basically start this conversation, and which is taboo, really. I mean, we've never heard people basically talking like, "Oh, we need to move the Muslim armies." It's like a hush type of. It's like the elephant in the room type of conversation. So we need to bring it to make it the common conversation that people demand. And when this basically become a common conversation, you helping from Canada to spread it within the ummah, you will be able to do that directly, and people will start talking about it on Facebook, on Twitter, with your relatives back home, with their relatives back home, with their cousins and kids and uncles in these armies. So this conversation has to be kick-started, and we can do that from anywhere, inshallah.
I'll get the sister and I'll get you afterwards. Yes, sister?
So my question is, after this, it's really important to have a unified voice and not, in order to spread awareness the right way and make sure that our coalition and this campaign grows. And there's more strength in numbers. So is there a petition or is there a plan for what happens next? that we can join in?
Inshallah, if we will visit any of the embassies and there is plans to do so, we might announce it, inshallah, and we'll let you know. That being said, I want to correct something again, which is part of number one, which is not correct certain concepts. Actually, power is not with the numbers. Big numbers basically are always talked about negatively in the Quran. Yeah? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says most people are not thankful, most people are not going to believe, and so forth. And the story of Talut tells us that. The 70,000 were like actually a weight on people's back. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala got rid of them, the 300 performed very well and they got the job done. And actually coming from the corporate world, being a software professional for 15 years, leading teams, I can tell you, if you have the lazy people with you in your team, you're not going to really like it. You'd rather get rid of them because they're just an obstacle in getting the job done. So I'd rather have 2 good programmers instead of having 10 sluggish, surfing the net type of programmers. So it's not the numbers at all, it is the quality of the people, and that's what basically the Muslimin should focus on, inshallah, developing within their community.
Brother, I'll take your question. You had a question?
I think
Oh,
she addressed it, but just to add in it, if one of us just create some kind of a letter or petition and forward it to our social networks, and then we can individually send it to our local consulates or back home just to initiate something. That would be a great idea, I guess.
I think basically this should be started by everybody, and again, like you just having a conversation on your Facebook account. If you're discussing the issue, says, listen, I believe that the Muslim armies are the solution. Them moving is the solution. Just you starting that conversation, even on an individual level, things will move. Inshallah. Barakallah feekum. Yes. تفضل.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalam.
Jazakallah khair, Shuyukh, for letting us know about the current situation. What I feel being a woman, that women on the whole in the world, as well as in Islam, population-wise makes a major proportion of the population. And we keep sitting silent and waiting for the male leaders to come and take the lead is not, I think, a wise decision. Again, I would not go for any rationality. I want to go for, I can see Nusiba playing a major role, defending Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When male sahabas were left behind, Nusiba was on the front. So we being the women, what should be our role? We need the leaders like you, but we do not want to keep sitting sluggishly at one place, waiting for somebody to come and teach, and for 2 hours, we are being taught, have impact for 2 hours or even 2.5 hours, and then forgetting about everything, seeing our family and children. We can play a role. We need a leader like you. We need to know what do we have to do, and we will be doing it with our heart and soul. We really want to be like Nusiba. We do not want to like any other woman who just came to this world, lived for 50, 60 years and died and nobody knows about it.
May Allah bless you. May Allah bless you. Takbir. 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 Just to make it odd number, inshallah. Listen, that's a very beautiful message. May Allah bless you. And without a doubt, I think the women's role in front of for the sake of Islam is equal to that of men. And the first believer in Islam on earth after the Rasul was Khadija radiallahu anha. And the first Shahida, martyr in Islam, was Sumayya. So the women were always at the forefront. Actually, they in these cases, they were the initiators of change. So I don't think basically we should differentiate between the two roles at all in any way or shape, actually. And each one should basically take the initiative to call for this. Now, what do we need to do? As I said, basically, people sometimes belittle just, some people come to me and tell me, so Sheikh, we should just talk. Yeah, the thing is, people belittle the power of the words and the discussion. The Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, him being the best ever human being to live on this earth, for 13 years, he only did talking. Because the change of mind has to precede the change of behavior. So we have to do lots of da'wah, but this da'wah is the da'wah that's targeted to change the Muslim mind, to fix the Muslim mind, to offer the real solutions when many people, including scholars, were not brave enough to actually spell them out and speak about them. We need unity. We need political unity. We need a country that unites the whole Muslim world with one leader that implements Islam so we can live by Islam, sleep with Islam, eat with Islam, drink with Islam. So this is the stuff that basically we should be calling for. People basically, again, like these type of talks are rare to hear. So we need to be the initiators. We need to be those as-sabiqun that initiate these conversations within our community and outside our community, through Facebook, through Twitter, to rally the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to come back again to Islam and understand what to demand. One of our major problems, I mean, let me just kind of quickly talk about it since the question was the Arab Spring, the biggest failure of the Arab Spring. I mean, I'm not critical of the Arab Spring in general, as people are always critical of everything that the ummah sacrifices within, because they see pain as bad. The major problem of the Arab Spring was there's no clear objective that's based upon the Quran and Sunnah. People basically came down on the street because they hated oppression, but they did not have a clear goal or clear project or clear political result that they were working for. And therefore, when you don't have an objective, things basically falter and things do fail. So our main role right now within our ummah as a global 1.7 billion is to reach a consensus upon what that goal should be. What is the way to safety? How do we get the ship back to shore? We need to have a specific way that we have a consensus about, and therefore, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses us with the implementation. Barakallahu feekum.
So